welcome to Inside Edition, where we discuss national, regional, and international issues in depth. The higher education sector in the Kingdom of Bahrain has witnessed steady development in recent years in terms of academic programs, teaching strategies, and educational training. In fact, the Kingdom of Bahrain has taken vital measures to support both public and private higher education institutions in order to promote excellence, creativity, innovation, and research capabilities so as to encourage and strengthen integration between educational outcomes and national development. Established in 2001, Ahlia University was the first private university to be licensed by the government of Bahrain. Throughout the previous 20 years, it worked on providing students with practical and professional learning experience based on the best international standards. To know more about that, we are pleased to be joined here at the studio by the founding president of Ahlia University, Professor Abdullah Al-Hawaj. Welcome, dear viewers. Joining me here in the studio is the founding president of Ahlia University, Professor Abdullah Al-Hawaj. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Professor, first off, can you give us and our viewers a brief idea about Ahlia University's establishment, its vision, as well as its special framework of the 10 strategic initiatives?
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for this invitation and for the opportunity to shed light on the success story of Ahlia University.
Thank you for coming.
And your program, of course, Inside Edition and Bahrain Television. Yeah. Before we start, I would like to go back, to my career. When I joined the University of Bahrain 1980 as an assistant professor. Yeah. And of course, I went on to associate and then professor. I was chairman of the mathematics department for 6 years, and chairman of computer science for 2 years, yeah, and dean of students and registration for 4 years. During that time, really, I had a trip to the United States, a 1-month tour, touring universities. It was a special program assigned by the University of Bahrain through the American Embassy. I started with Boston, and I visited universities like Harvard University, MIT, Boston, Northeastern colleges, few. And then we went on to other places, visited Duke University and Stanford University. Right. I was astonished. I was really impressed with what I have seen and how can private sector do this.
Yes.
I saw the greatness of the university, the technology, the science, and I start reading about it.
Yeah.
Can we do it? We used to have very great history.
Yeah.
We always said that we were teaching the word. What happened to us? So the idea started there, where the private sector have a role to play, and they must play it in all developments, in higher education. So I was haunted with this dream. So it was really a dream. Yeah. And I thought, can we do it? Not only Bahrain. Yeah. I was thinking even wider. I was thinking to the GCC area. I was thinking of the Arab region. Why can't we go back? I realized that only using the government is not enough. There is great resources are not used. Yeah. How can we make these resources used? Yeah. And to partner the government in the future of the generation. So the dream started growing bigger and bigger. So when I came back to Bahrain, I started contacting friends. In the early 90s, I was in a conference at Trinity College and Cambridge University in London. I met 2 professors from Saudi professors from King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. Yeah. We discussed on lunch the prospectus of the private sector to invest in higher education.
Yes.
And we came with a very clear conclusion. The greatness of America, technology, science, was due to their universities. Can we do it? We came with a conclusion, we must do it.
Yes.
So when we came back to Bahrain, we formed a committee. We applied to the government at that time. It was 1991 when we applied for the first time. Unfortunately, people were shocked. How can you think of private higher education? The government is responsible. I said to them, look, the best universities in the world are private. Harvard is private. MIT is private. Duke. And I was really, really impressed by the idea of how they were established, Even in the Arab world, I looked at the American University of Beirut.
Yes.
Even in Egypt, I looked at these universities and I said, can we do it? Can the Bahrainis and the Saudis and the Kuwaitis and the GCCs do that? Can the Arab go back to the old days? It was a dream.
Yes.
And I tell you, it took many, many years trying to convince people, but they have a very bad experience with some universities earlier, government universities, and they were not ready.
Yeah.
If you have a great vision and a clear vision and insistence, things will come at one time.
Right.
And I tell you, in 2000, the opportunity came when the king declared his reform project.
Yes.
And then when they formed the National Charter Committee,
Yes.
I was honored to be selected a member of the Supreme Committee and representing the education. And I was one of the people who delivered the speech to the king during the first draft of the National Charter.
That's quite an achievement.
And in the National Charter was very clearly in chapter 1, before even talking about the regime and the monarchy and this, it said that universities are beacons of knowledge, and research must be practiced freely. And it said very clearly the state of Bahrain support the establishment of private universities.
Yes.
That was the beginning. And the Bahraini people voted in the National Charter. And 98.4% said yes to the great reform. And Ahlia University was born. 3 weeks after the voting on the National Charter, the cabinet approved the establishment of the first private university in Bahrain. And now we started. Now I was looking what to do, how to implement all this. It's not an easy task. It was really, really difficult. I've gone through a lot of hurdles, but I must tell you, I got great support from the top. I had got great support from many, many people, And we started, establishing Ahlia University. From day one, we thought that this should be a different institution, different way of thinking, different way of teaching. We do not want to go back to the same old ways of memorizing things. Can we do it? Can we start researching from day one?
Right.
And the task was very big, but my dream is growing.
Yeah.
And I always love to remember, words of a dream, my dream. I started repeating that really.
Yes.
And things have gone great, and Ahlia University was established. Now you can see Bahrain had about 17 or 18 universities.
Yes.
The idea is, and I'm still insisting to do it, to make Bahrain Boston of the Gulf.
Yes.
Because when I went to Boston, I was really astonished, and I always saw the brain of America was in Boston. I am really insisting in making Bahrain the brain of the GCC, if not the brain of the Arab world.
Yeah.
Although we're a small country, we're small numbers,
with a lot of potential.
With a lot of potential, a lot of thinking, And we can do it. You know, we are insisting. So Ahlia University was established. From day one, we had a partnership with great universities.
Yes.
We started a partnership with Brunel University London from day one.
Yeah.
Because I've done one of my postdoctorate in Brunel University, so I take this opportunity. I know them, I contacted them, and we had partnership with the George Washington University for some programs.
Yes.
We have now partnership with some French universities, and we're starting now to the east. We've gone to Malaysia. We're having very soon partnership with an Indian university. So I think it's very important that that dreams convert to reality.
Yes.
And I'm sure we can do it. I had objections from many people, you know, who told me, well, private education means business. I said to them, no, I will not accept that these resources are not used for training our future, training our children, training our young people. And that's what I believe. Absolutely. I believe that the state and the private sector are two wings of one bird, and we can only fly with the two wings. We cannot fly with one. So I went on, and I insisted really. I do not want to go further because I've gone through very difficult times.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, but at the end, the dream started. Yes. It's not the end of the dream, of course. Yes. This is the beginning of the dream.
Yes.
And now we have Ahlia University being recognized in nearly everywhere.
Right.
And we have got a lot of awards. We'll talk about it
in a bit, yeah.
In a bit.
Well,
yes.
well actually, just to point out how vivid this dream of yours was, it started 30 years ago in a lunch with a couple of professors,
yes.
and 20 years ago it became something real. And you've mentioned this before. There's a lot of support that came from the top. What can you tell us about the support that was provided by the Bahraini government to facilitate and develop the private educational institutions' performance specifically?
There is a great belief here that education is very important. And we got very good support. We've been assigned a land to build the new campus.
Yeah.
A beautiful piece of land in a very prime area, Salman City.
Yes.
It's a future city.
Yes.
And it has the name of Salman,
yes,
who is, you know, the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister, and so many visions, I hope, will be fulfilled at this time. So we are going really to build a state-of-the-art campus in this city. I want this city to be the city of knowledge, the city of technology. So the new campus really was assigned by the government. The foundation stones was laid by the late His Royal Highness the Prime Minister Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman, and he was always a great support. The King have shown so much support to this project. The Minister of Education is always supported. We have the BQA, Bahrain Quality Agency also, or authority, are a great supporter. I am very happy to tell you, maybe at one time we always get angry why they are checking here and there, but I tell you, the education in Bahrain, higher education in Bahrain is in great hands. We have higher education from one side, and we have the qualities from one side, and it's very rare you see in countries the two.
Yes.
In Bahrain we have the two, and we fulfilled the requirement of the two institutions. And that's why I really can see Bahrain become really Boston of the Gulf. And I can see Bahrain become the brain of the Gulf. We have a great support from the government, and they believe 100% that the future is education. Yes. The future is research also. You know, it's very important. And we were lucky when this pandemic came with the COVID-19, we were ready. Yes. Second day, we were straight teaching online because of the prior investment, the proper investment, and because of all our ICT, even not only in Ahlia University, in all over Bahrain, you know.
Absolutely. The pride that you speak of in the education system in Bahrain also stems from your personal pride in the alumni of Al Ahlia University. There are very noteworthy alumni. Can you tell us a little bit about your previous graduates and the ranks that they have reached over the years?
Well, you know, I'm very, very happy to tell you that Al Ahlia alumni have made so much success stories, you know, and recently we are even, you know, discussing the success story of many of our alumni. I'm very proud to tell you, you know, that the speaker of our parliament, of our alumni, which is very important. One of our alumni, Amina Al-Hawaj, have received so many international awards, you know, from all over the world, from the UK, from the US, from Russia, and India, of course, from our king in Bahrain. She has received so many, and she has registered so many researchers. Yes, so that's very important. She's one of our alumni, and we opened now an invention center in Ahlia University. She is heading that invention center. We want to tell the alumni and the student, you know, you can do it. Ahlia University is a great support for that. You know, many of our professors have scored very high in research. The best researcher in the Arab world last year was a professor at Ahlia University.
Wonderful.
And the second best was a professor at Ahlia University. Now in research and Scopus, we are one of the best universities in the area. We are number 3 in Bahrain after Bahrain University and the Arabian Gulf University. And this is really, so climate of research is starting in Bahrain, and we are very, very proud to say that this is a part of the dream. That's the beginning. It's not, we have not reached where we want to be. We are just steps forward, but with a very clear vision, with the vision of Ahlia University to be locally and internationally a world-class university in education, in research, and also in community services. It's very, very important. So all the initiatives which we have going towards that, you know. So we have strategies, very important, but the very important that we are a part of the society. And we would like visible impact on this society. We would like people to feel it, you know. So
exactly. I mean, you actually bring me to my next point. The community addition that you bring is not just to the Bahraini community or the GCC community, but to the worldwide community. How does Ahlia University contribute to achieving the National 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs?
Of course, this is a very important question. I am really, really happy that you raised this question, because after all, why we are studying, why we are doing universities, for a better future. So we want to eradicate really poverty. We want to diminish, you know, hunger. We want really to help disabled. We want to be, you know, and this is really, it goes very clearly with the Ahlia University strategy, and it's aligned with the national strategy of Bahrain to 2030. So we are really very clear about that. So Ahlia University wants visibly to change things, and to be very clear, we want to graduate, you know, graduate who knows about the sustainable development. We want to do research which really go towards the same things. So we worked, and that's why when we came to the 17 SDGs of the United Nations, we felt it's the responsibility of every institution, every government, every ministry to satisfy these. So Ahlia University went and started with 7 SDGs, selected very carefully. It fits our strategy and it fits the Bahrain strategy.
Yeah.
And we are committed to it. And we went and we listed these in the website of the United Nations to be recognized. And we are now a member of that league, you know.
Yeah.
We selected, of course, 7 very important SDGs. We will do the rest also. We started, of course, with health and well-being. We started with quality of education. We started with gender equality. We started with diminishing the inequality, you know, because inequality is a very, very important, you know, where people should share resources.
Right.
We shouldn't have people very poor and others. You know, this is very important. That's what the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, that was set in 2015. Yeah. And by 2030, we want to see that most of the countries and most of the ministries and most of this have achieved it. Ahlia University is committed to that goal, and we will always try to be leaders, because we believe really that Bahrain is small, but Bahrain have a very nice people, you know. Yes. Bahrain is a smart country. You know, when you go and look and read in the Forbes magazine and all that, the best life for expatriates is in Bahrain. Right. We want to take also this very important benefits to benefit Bahrain. That's why I think, you know, and I'm hoping that we fulfill this dream, that we become the center of excellent education, the center of even research. I am, as a Bahraini, I feel so proud when somebody, when he's coming to Bahrain in the airport and asked, what's the purpose of your visit? Yeah. And the answer is to have education or to learn things or to do research. This makes me really, as a Bahraini, very proud, proud that I did fulfill what I want, you know. This is a goal, we set it for ourselves, and the good thing that all the founders of Ahlia University believe in the same goals, that the goal is to be a part of the world. Yeah. And we are also very humane. We believe in humanity. We don't differentiate between people. Yes. And that's why from day one we have collaboration with Brunel University. I want to give the world an example of a partnership between a Western reputed research university and a young, ambitious Middle East university. Yes. And it's been going on for over 18 years. You know, we started with 2+2 programs where students study 2 years in Bahrain and then get 2 years to Brunel and take a Brunel degree. Wonderful. Or he want to come back and take Bahrain degree. And then we went on to the master level. And since the last 15 years, we're doing PhD. And we've graduated more than 60 PhDs. And a very important, most of these 60 are women. And by that, we fulfill also the role of the women, which we believe from day one, that they have the equal right. And here I learned that very clearly from the National Charter. Yeah. The King of Bahrain, from day one, when we sat in the National Charter, he gave the women the right of everything similar to the men. It wasn't easy 20 years ago when you think of that. Now when we look at it, that women vote and women, this, we think it's something normal. But not 20 years ago. It was really a revolution at that time. The same thing, we are doing it with education. I think, you know, when we talk about women equality, and that's why I'm really happy with this PhD without residence, because not every woman can travel to England or to America to take PhD. Right. So we came with this new PhD without residence. It's a British degree, fully have the whole British requirement. They go and take their viva in Brunel, but researchers in Bahrain. And that's why we've managed to graduate so many women. And this fulfill the ambition of Her Royal Highness Sheikha Sibicha or Princess Sibicha, because I think this is very important. And we work hand in hand, really, to show Bahrain and put Bahrain in its position as a leader among the sisters, and we believe that Bahrain history, in education, it goes more than 100 years.
It does.
Some of our brothers, from Kuwait and Oman and even Saudi Arabia and this were studying in Bahrain. I want this to come back. I want them to look at Bahrain, this small jewel, but this is where they learn, and this is where the education, and believe me, we can do it. I had a very hard time to convince people. I remember I was in a conference in South Africa, and some of my Arab colleagues were insisting that, private education or private higher education is a commercial. And I told them, look, if Harvard and MIT can do it, we will do it.
Yes.
And I'm always proud when I read the book of President Obama, and he talked about the greatness of America because of its universities. Yes. He said it very, very clearly, and I always remember these things. We always read history, and I remember in France when President de Gaulle was leaving power. Yes. A journalist asked him, "Aren't you scared to leave power?" He said, "I will not be scared if two things are right." And he said, proper education and real good judges or good, This is very, very important. Yes. So education comes first in everything. Yeah. And I really want to tell you, this is what the King of Bahrain believes in. I have a straight talks with him, when I was appointed as a member of the Supreme Committee. And he said very clearly, there is no reform unless education is at the heart of the reform. And that's why we are strong and we want to do it, because normally reforms comes from the bottom and it gets resistance from the top. Yes. In our story, in Bahrain, beautiful story, it came from the top. Yes. And the people, embraced it, So that's how we go in. So we want to do it also in universities. We want to do it in education. And I can see in a few years that few universities in Bahrain will be listed among the top universities. We've already, one of the best things we've done in 2018, QS ranked Ahlia University as the first rising university in the Arab region. And that for us is really an achievement. And at the same time, it put a lot of
pressure on you.
Yes, pressure on us. Yes. Can we do it? Will we stay in the top of it? And we are doing it, alhamdulillah.
Yes, alhamdulillah. I mean, I can see your passion when you talk about it, and the fact that education is so important has been a topic for hundreds of years, because people have seen the importance of education early on. But in the world that we live in today, accreditation, education of the educators is important, facilitating research in the concept of making it achievable for people that don't know anything about research. All of these things are very difficult to enhance within one university or one educational pattern. And that's what Ahlia University has achieved. It was able to bring everything together under one roof and provide this. As a private university, people always talk about it, as you have said, that it might be a profit institution, but really education and materials used and technologies used, all of these do cost money, and when that goes into that, it actually balances things out, because at the end you are a graduate of that university. Now, In performing its duties, the Ahlia University deals and cooperates with various international institutes, which you have already mentioned, to exchange expertise. Can you tell us about why these collaborations are important for your graduates specifically and for the country of Bahrain in the end effect, the end user basically?
Of course, it's very, very important to be a part of the international community. This is one important thing. It's very important for our graduate to feel that their degree is equivalent to any degree anywhere. I'm very, very proud to tell you some of our graduates went back to their countries and have leading roles, and this is very, very important. I remember one student, physiotherapist, she's a German, and she went back to Germany and now doing very, very well. My son have visited Germany 2 years ago, and he told me, you remember Sarah? I said, yes. He said, well, she has her own hospital in Germany. This makes me feel very, very, very happy. We have some of our alumni now are really in very, very key positions in Bahrain, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait. I visited Kuwait 2 years ago. I was honored to be with the Prime Minister, the late Prime Minister, to visit the Emir of Kuwait.
Yes.
And the first question from Emir of Kuwait to me, how many Kuwaiti students you have? And I told him, Your Highness, we've graduated 400 Kuwaiti students, some of them working in your own court, and by chance, 2 of the Kuwaiti students who did with us PhD are working in the Amiri court in Kuwait, and he was so impressed, So I really feel that collaboration with different part of the world is very, very important. It really eases the thinking of the students. It makes them a part of a wider society, and they can go anywhere they want, So I want really to tell my students, you're not learning it for a job only. No, you can do many, many things, That's why these days we encourage entrepreneurs so much, and we tell them, look, you don't be looking for a job only. You can create jobs for the others. Absolutely. And this is where Ahlia University always want to do this, I am always very happy to mention that I believe also in the bigger picture, 10 years ago, we established the Union of the Private University in the GCC.
Okay.
We made a conference, a very big conference in Bahrain. It was under the patronage of His Majesty the King.
Yes.
And I invited 55 presidents from the area and from abroad. And it was really a great day for Bahrain to be the center of education. I am at the moment also I am the chairman of the executive committee of the Arab private universities in Jordan, Amman. It all stems from my belief in one thing. We must work with our brothers and sisters. We must try to fulfill the dreams of our parents or our ancestors, and we can do it. We have the knowledge. We need more, maybe, to be really fearful of.
Yes.
When you do anything like this, there is always risks.
Yes.
We should take that bit of risks. Okay, it's a calculated risk, but we should do it. And we should be very ambitious.
Yes.
I do not want. I remember many. I think 6 or 7 years ago, I've mentioned that I want to be one of the top 5 private university in the GCC.
Okay.
And I want to be among the 500 best universities in the world. I remember many people told me, you're crazy, you are mad. We've done that.
Yes.
2 years ago, in QS and the Times Higher Education, we are among the 5 best private university in GCC. And we are 35 among the Arab universities out of 1,000 university.
Yes.
And we are very close to become a part of the 500, and I hope we will do it. We set a target by 2030, and we will reach it. And I assure you, and if God give us, you know, يعني extension and long life, inshallah, we will celebrate that, inshallah.
Definitely, on the show even. How did the pandemic has affected all sectors. Behind the scenes, we talked a little bit about how ICT, how Bahrain was already prepared, not knowing that there's a pandemic coming, but everything was already prepared for the basically the turning into a digital educational system. So how did the current health circumstances change the teaching and learning process, and how do you see the future of educational institutions after the pandemic?
Of course, this is a very important question, because this is the talks of everybody.
Yes.
I must assure you, and I will tell you, maybe this is a test for us. You know, Bahrain in general have done very well in the ICT, have done very well in the infrastructure, and that's which allows us immediately to convert to online teaching.
Yes.
Ahlia University took only 1 day to convert from face-to-face teaching to online teaching. Yeah. Okay, we have problems. Assessment is a great problem, and we are trying to make sure we assess students properly.
Yeah. But
this is a new revolution. We must take opportunities from what happened.
Yeah.
And we should not be late. We should be proactive rather than reactive to things, you know. And we talk to the يعني جهة الرقابة. We talked to them very clearly. We told them, yes, we told them, yes, the authority. We told them we should be really proactive. We should learn from what happened.
Yes.
One important thing I learned personally also, and I want everybody to learn it, we should collaborate, we should work together. And very clearly, we were very successful in implementing teaching and everything during that period. We have learned a lot of things, and I tell you, it's a revolution.
Yes.
Education and higher education been going on like this for the last 200 or 300 years unchanged.
Yes.
It's not going to be the same after
days.
The pandemic. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
So using artificial intelligence, using the application of artificial intelligence is very, very important. Jobs going to change, many things going to change. We should be prepared.
Yes.
We should not be teaching jobs which will be vanishing soon. We should be trying to teach what jobs going to come.
Right.
And universities have great responsibilities. There is unfortunate things, of course, which I should probably talk about it. We should really invest more in research as country, as Arabs, as GCC, because I hoped that I've heard that one of our labs or one of our research labs are trying to invent a vaccine or something. Yeah. Unfortunately, we were not there.
Yeah.
But we should learn. Right. And we should invest more in education, higher education, research. Yeah. We should go and look at the percentage of investment in research.
Yes, yes.
And we should really look at where is the resources. We shouldn't be looking at the budget of the government only and ask the government to spoon feed us, ask the government to give us everything. We should work all together.
Absolutely.
And that's why I am a pioneer of talking all the time about partnership between the government and the private sector. I remember I gave a lecture, I think it's about 16 or 17 years ago in Riyadh, in the GCC headquarters. And I called my lecture التعليم المختلط.
Okay,
the mixed education.
Yeah.
I meant, you know, the government and the support, the resources, you know. I do believe that this is very important. I do believe that because private universities should have responsibilities, also national responsibilities.
Right.
They shouldn't be just commercial.
Right.
And the government should support them when they fulfill the requirement of the national requirements.
Yes.
So this is very, very important, you know. And I really will love the days when it comes when we don't talk about private and public. We talk about quality. We talk about graduations.
Yeah.
The quality of graduates, quality of research, quality of this. Why I'm saying this? Because sometimes, you know, a person like me, I worked half my life in public education, you know, and the second in private. And I found that there is a lot we should do, you know. When I come to the Bahrain TV sometimes they feel, you know, oh, this is a private institution, should we support it or not? I say, well, I am a national institution.
Yes.
I work for the goodness of my country and the Bahrain community.
Right.
And I feel so happy when I achieve things for Bahrain. And I think everybody should do the same. And we should always, always support investment in education, investment in research. So dreams become reality.
Right.
And I always, you know, from my readings at least, believes that there is nothing impossible.
It's not.
If you have a great or clear vision, and you really work hard to fulfill this vision,
it will happen.
The moment will come, and it will happen.
Yes. You know? Well, when you speak about the collaborations between the private and the government sector, as well as the new ideas specifically for the labs, I remember one of our guests was Dr. Sheikh Fay Al Khalifa, who created actually the SSU lab at the University of Bahrain that is dedicated fully to any researcher that wants to research within the sustainable development field. That is one example of how Bahrain is also promoting the research fields that are needed in the world, not just for Bahrain, but in the world. Bahrain might be a small kingdom, but it has a very, very big impact on the international arena, whether in education or elsewhere. You mentioned one of the other guests that I had was the head of the Accreditation and Quality Assurance Center of Bahrain. Al-Ahlia University has its own, and formed its own center for accreditation and quality assurance to ensure achieving excellence in the quality of its learning, teaching, and research. What can you tell us about the importance of the outcomes of that kind of an approach?
Of course, it's very, very important. From the beginning, we felt quality should be the big, you know, address. We should not put quality as an aim. No, we should live quality. So from day one, I believe that we should have an accreditation and quality. We call it Center for Accreditation and Quality. And I can tell you that Ahlia University has done very well. Ahlia University was chosen as the representative of the private university in the first pilot by Bahrain Quality Assurance. And we've done really well. Then when the real thing happened, I can tell you, every single program in Ahlia University have passed quality. And we have really been put in category 1. At one time, there was 3 categories of university. Ahlia University was in category 1 with another 2 universities, you know, at that time by quality assurance. Accreditation is a very, very important. We have now received accreditation from the Higher Education Council. This will make us go to the good old days where the Saudis and the Kuwaitis and the GCCs and the others to come to Bahrain. And this is very important because it's a part of our goal for the economy of Bahrain. It's very important that the impact of education goes in the economy of Bahrain.
Right.
I have seen that in many countries. Australia was a great example. We visited Australia, and I've seen they have even a minister called International Student Minister.
Yes.
You know, Australia,
amazing.
You know, get $8 billion yearly from international students. You know, it's a very, very important to talk about it. So the quality and accreditation center in Ahlia University is a very important, and we finished now all the quality requirement. Of course, it's always going on, and we got the local accreditation. Now we are going for the international accreditation. The College of Business is applying for AACSB accreditation, which is the American Association of Collegiate of Business Schools. And this is one of the hardest, and we've gone now very long. We passed the first and the second hurdle. They have to visit us and we get the accreditation.
Hopefully.
The College of Information Technology are going for ABIT, which is the American Board of Engineering and Technology. And we've done also most of it. We are only waiting for, inshallah, their visit and the results.
Inshallah.
You know, so accreditation is an important, and Ahlia University supported wholeheartedly. We even train people to be working in that department or that center. So I am really stressing from the beginning that quality. I believe when you do something, do it right. Don't do it halfway. And this is what we believe in Ahlia University. And I'm sure many other universities will follow the same suit. So I hope really that. But I want to go back to the collaboration. We must collaborate. Because you've mentioned we're small. So we should use resources of each other. We must love everybody. The word love is always used at Ahlia University. They've always asked me, why did you call it Ahlia? And I said, that's the only reason. I want to, it's a family atmosphere. I want to feel that you are among your family. I remember when we were looking for a name, many have, one said the University of the Middle East, one said the University of this. I said, no, Ahlia University. He said, well, let's call it something Ahlia. I said, no, Ahlia University. So I'm going to stop anybody using Ahlia name in Bahrain. And I have managed to do that. And people are happy. You know, when I was young, you know, I always was jealous of graduates from different universities, certain universities. I always tell people, you know, if you ask somebody who graduated from good university, you ask him, what is your field? He doesn't talk about his field. He said, I am such a university graduate. And I'm not ashamed to say, AUB. I'm AUB graduate. I said, I'm asking you what field? You know, he said, I'm AUB. But if you go to another university, you graduate from a law university, which university you graduate from? It said to you, I'm accounting. You know? So
I see that.
I wanted everybody to be really talking about Ahlia University in the same manner. That's what I said. I was jealous, but I want to do the same. So actually, when we started Ahlia University 20 years ago, I've studied completely the full story of the American University of Beirut. I went and visited the American University of Cairo. I sat with them. I went to Jordan. I saw the experience of all their universities. I sat with the president of many universities, you know, and some of them, of course, we know them very well, and some of them now in the board of trustees of Ahlia University, we have Dr. Ali Abdulrahman, who is the president of Cairo University about 10 or 15 years ago. We have President Marwan Kamal, who was the first president of Bahrain University, and then became president of many universities in Jordan, Yarmouk University, Jordan University, Philadelphia University. He's a member of our board of trustees. We have even from Bahrain, Dr. Faisal Musawi.
Yes.
He's a member of our board of trustees.
RCSI
he was
before.
RCSI. So I believe that using all these also brains, for the university, and I've mentioned one of our colleagues from Saudi Arabia, the University of Business and Technology. The founder is a member of our board of trustees also,
yes.
Dr. Abdullah. So Ahlia University really want to prove to the world that we can have a world-class university.
Absolutely.
And we can have, we can make Bahrain, as I said, Boston of the GCC and maybe Boston of the Arab world.
You will definitely, inshallah. Now, when it comes to academic research, you talked a lot about it and you compared it to the international peers. What are the exerted efforts by Ahlia University to contribute positively to research in specific?
It's a very important question, of course, because research is a very, very important. And that's the reason why very early I went on and insisted we should have a PhD program. And a PhD program is very important because professor lives on these resources, their students. The ideas comes from the young, Professors become guider rather than, So really establishing this PhD without residence have improved a lot the status of Ahlia University as a research. And we are starting now a center of research in Ahlia University. When I talked about research, if you go and check the list of research, Ahlia University become now a member of the world research. It's very well known. And I must tell you that we have been growing steadily. When I look at the publication in something we call Scopus, I look at it. In 2012, we were doing 20 publication, in 2013, 21. In 2014. Now I see us over 100.
Beautiful.
In 2019, I think we've done 120 publication.
Wonderful.
In 2020, we have reached nearly 130.
Wonderful.
This is very important.
It is.
And the most also important is to solve the problem of our industry. And I want the research really to go towards that. And that's why Ahlia University is now planning very clearly a collaboration with the industry. We've just signed last week an agreement with the renewable energy
Sustainable Energy Unit.
Unit. And we signed an agreement with them. We met His Excellency Dr. Abdullah Mirza, and we discussed the idea of starting a project in solar energy. It's very important because I believe that we have a lot of energy and we should be very, very clear about that in 15 years we may not have cars using oil. We should really be prepared for that. So we should be really integrating into the electrical and systems. A few days ago, I have a student who visited me, and I was so proud of this student. He did 2 publications in electrical cars. And he's doing a master in MBA. So I said to him, how? He said, well, I'm originally an engineer, so that's how I did it. So these are very, very important. So Ahlia University next step is to make sure to collaborate with industry very closely to solve the problem of industry. We have a very great financial sector. And they need a lot of solutions, So we want to do that.
Definitely. I mean, you just talked a little bit about the accomplishments and the achievements that the university has done. But before we end the show, I'd like to hear from you. After 20 years of dedicated efforts, the Ahlia University has accomplished various achievements and gained several awards. Can you tell us more about those accomplishments as well as efforts to maintain this success and any future plans you have in order to build on these accomplishments, to build on these successes?
Of course, it's the most important, to realize that we're growing. And alhamdulillah, we're growing from strength to strength, And now we're concentrating on really moving to the state-of-art campus, at Salman City.
Yes.
We are, of course, planning to increase our programs, to have new programs, mainly in renewable energy and in fintech and in IoT, Internet of Things. We want to use to get what we learned from the pandemic also, to use it. We know that application of artificial intelligence become very, very important.
Yes.
So we want to go also with the new programs to solve these problems.
Yes.
So our really future is very clearly that we offer new programs. We have already, applied to offer a few of these programs.
Yes.
I hope, of course, we will get soon the approval from Higher Education Council to offer these programs. Because universities must always develop its programs, must always update its offering, and it's very, very important to do that. Also, internationalization is very, very important. So we want to make sure that we support international students. I gave a lecture in South Korea many years ago about the exchange programs, of students between us and Brunel, and between us and Bradford University, and between us and Ionis Group in France, where they have many great institutions of higher education. And I discussed the idea of pull and push, and they were asking me what's a pull and push. I said, to support international exchange students, you need somebody to push them to come to me.
Yes.
So I must go and sign an agreement for somebody to push them. And I want to pull them also. So I must give them, for example, I'll give you an example, we have nearly 25 to 30 students every year from France.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this year we have only one because of the pandemic.
Yes.
At one time, they become 70 at 1 year, And I receive these students. I give them lecture myself.
Okay.
And I told them, and the ambassador of France was there. I said to them, look, we are putting an officer in the airport. When you finish your 1 year, he will ask you 10 questions in Arabic. If you don't answer them, you'll go back.
There you go.
So what I want to give a message that when you go to exchange, you should learn something new.
Right.
So I want this French student, they mainly come to study IT.
Yes.
But they can study IT anywhere.
Yes.
So I said to them, when you come to Bahrain, you should learn the Bahrain heritage, you should learn the Arabic language, you should learn this. I asked my student to do the same. Every single student who went to France, and we had a few of them, I told them, if you come back,
not speaking
French, please stay there.
Yes.
So there's many things like this. So one of the very important things which I want to establish in Ahlia University, and I hope in Bahrain, is to have many international students, and especially exchange students. It's great for the country, it's great for the economy, it's great for many things. An example of that, when we used to have so many students from Kuwait, that was about 10 years ago.
Okay.
There is one of the airlines, Al Jazeera Airlines, they used to have one flight daily.
Okay.
You know how many flights they reached?
No.
I think 20 or 25 daily.
Per day, okay.
And the student used to book the ticket for a full year in advance. And if they miss one flight, they don't get compensated because, so it's not only education, it's education. It worked now in tourism, it works in
culture,
it works in airlines.
Yeah.
So it's a part of the economy of the country. It's a part of many things we want to do.
It is.
So, yes.
That's for the international students. My last question to you, Professor, is the students, your prospective students to come, that will prospectively study in those subjects that are new to the world or should be educated. Who is the student that is perfect for these new fields of education?
Of course, it's always possible to educate students. The main reason now for education is not to teach so much and concentrate so much in certain topics.
Yeah.
We want to make students lifelong learners.
Yes.
And I believe in shifting also. I remember I attended a conference many years ago. I always attend leadership.
Yes.
Once it was leader shift, And I said, what's leadership?
Yeah.
He said, a leader, if he couldn't shift from place to place fast.
Yeah.
And they bring the story of Kodak, how it disappeared, the product,
right. Yeah.
So students should really be learned that they are a lifelong learner.
Right.
We should treat them from the beginning to learn that they should do research for sustainable growth.
Yes.
Because it's a part that we should inform our students. It's all in our even curriculum now implemented, that these 17 goals have not been put just to look at them,
yes,
to practice them, to implement them.
Absolutely.
So we want our students to learn that from the university. And so the prospective student, we want them also to feel that they are prepared for the future rather than for today, So we would really take students from all the world, And Ahlia University has a very good and very important thing, Ahlia University is a great friend of orphans.
Okay.
Every single orphan study in Ahlia University, he gets 50% exemption from fees.
Amazing.
Every single, and at one time, 100% used to be.
Beautiful.
Ahlia University is a great friend of disabled, and would believe that we convert them from disabled to empowered. And we did this with many examples.
Yes, you did.
One example was Maryam Fuad Shahab, who came to us, worried because she cannot hear, she cannot, but she graduated. Yes. She works now at the National Bank of Bahrain. Yes. She got married, she has children, and we graduated many similar to her. Ahlia University believes that this is a requirement, it's not a choice. So we believe really that this important sector of society is our responsibility.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Professor, for being with us today. Also, we would like to thank you, dear viewers, for watching us, and we will see you next week in another episode of Inside Edition.